Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Muddy Waters podcast, where we call out the scams and demystify misinformation. Today's episode is about hey, if you're an aspiring author and you've thought about writing a book and, like so many people, went online and researched how to use AI to write a book and said to yourself, yeah, I found 132,000 videos on how to make money selling eBooks that are generated by AI. And you might have thought to yourself, oh man, this is super cool. I can publish 100 books a year and make all kinds of money and retire and everything else. And I'm here to tell you, I did some research, I did an experiment, and it's not the case. So let's talk about it for a minute, right? First of all, I'm a five-time published author. I'm proud to say one of my books, my first novel, at one point hit number 3 in the Amazon best-selling list. Equally proud of the reviews from readers that I've received. And believe me when I tell you, it was years and years of work. Today, we're not going to talk about creative writing related to AI. We're going to talk about nonfiction writing related to AI. And the first thing I want to tell you is one of the hardest things as a writer is to come up with your outline and topics. And sometimes, even though I published 5 books and working on my 6th and 7th, I struggle with that as well. AI is very, very good. If you type in a topic and you might, go into ChatGPT or one of the other AI programs, you might type in popular topics on whatever it is, pregnancy, scams, writing, and just look at what it says, right? Because what it says is what people are searching for regularly. So you can take those topics, the one that resonates or the many that resonate for you, plug them into an AI writing program, and it'll spit out a 8 to 9 to 10,000 word book. I did exactly that. I'm not going to tell you the platform that I used. I assume they're all similar in terms of what they initially produce. And by the way, this is not to disparage the platform that I use, because the truth is, it gave me a very good construct. It created chapter titles. There was a theme flowing through what it shows. So in that respect, yeah, it's pretty good. Saved me a lot of time in thinking about what are the important things that I want to say. And that's where the benefit kind of ended. Because, to be very honest with you, first of all, because I'm a published author, I'm very in terms of what I look for in good writing. Now, that being said, not everybody is, right? Um, and this is not to disparage high school students who write essays or start writing their own book, but what was written by AI was very generic and looked like it was written by a high schooler, maybe doing a paper for their teacher or whatever it may be. And it's important to remember that, first of all, readers resonate with authors because of their unique author's voice. And AI doesn't have, number one, a unique writer's voice, number two, and more importantly, your writer's voice. So if you want to create a loyal readership, you're going to have to do some work with whatever AI produces. Make it compelling for readers, right? Because if you don't, number one, you might get a few downloads, you might make a couple extra dollars. Certainly not going to get rich unless you just pump out 100, 200 ebooks and let the chips fall where they may. However, what can kill a writing career, especially in its early phases, is the reviews. And imagine what would happen if you published a book written specifically and only by AI without you going in to create the narrative and the author's voice and all those other things. And somebody writes a review and says, this book reads like it was written by AI, or the writing is generic and a high schooler could have written it. That's what that was my take on the book that AI created for me. And had I bought a book that was created by AI that read like what I read, I'll tell you what, I would have written a review because I'd have been pissed. And maybe your readers will be as well. So you want to be sensitive to that. There's another equally important reason why you want to write it in your own voice. You want to take that construct, which again, it's kind of like writing a first draft. Your first draft is never your finished product. Frankly, every first draft I've ever written has been, excuse my language, but that's the truth. The magic comes in the editing. 3 to 5 edits down the road, now it's really starting to take shape and crystallize. So that's important to remember. But here's what else is important to remember. The word plagiarism. Because I'll tell you what, AI is pulling from public domain information posted on the internet, books that are digitized, all the sources it pulls from. There is a very, very, very high likelihood, 32% of what it produces is going to be directly taken and plagiarized from original content. So what can happen? You can face civil suits, even criminal suits if it's egregious. Maybe even just as bad, the original author gets a copy or gets a notification and posts on your Amazon page, this writer stole my work. Instant loss of credibility forever, and something you're never going to get out from underneath. So you have to go in using tools like Grammarly or some of the other that you'll find. You have to go in and do plagiarism checks even after you've rewritten as much as you can in your own words, to make sure you're not stealing other people's work. And as an author, writing is a craft, and we need to honor that craft and honor the energy and efforts others have put in to creating what they've created. And certainly we don't want to steal from that, right? So yeah, that kind of gets us started in the topic. So the next thing to remember is in the nonfiction space, readers give credence and credibility to authors who have done their homework. And part of proving that you've done your homework, and also legally what you're required to do, is disclose and cite your sources, right? So that's going to be a citation, a footnote at the bottom of each page, whatever it is. Anything that is not your original thinking, that instead you learned from another person or another news source or whatever it may be, article, website, any statistics you quote, metrics you quote, you have to disclose that, right? And AI is not going to cite it for you. They're not going to cite their sources. So as you go in and add credibility to your content, you're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to cite your sources and put in footnotes. Important to remember as well, which leads me to the next topic, and that's one of logistics. So I signed up for, I think it cost me $27 for lifetime access to this particular portal. But it's almost like a word processor. It's almost like writing in Microsoft Word, only without all the bells and whistles that Microsoft Word offers. So citing sources, I couldn't do in the word processor. I had to export my work, and for a number of reasons, I had to export my work. I use a program called Scrivener, Scrivener, and it's fantastic. I think it's $60 for lifetime access, and it is very, very sophisticated. What I ended up having to do is cut and paste each of the chapters from AI into Scrivener so that I could add footnotes, research, the front matter of the book, the back matter of the book, the foreword, all those kinds of things you have to add. On a basic subscription for AI book writing, you're not going to get access to those things, and you're going to need them as your manuscript evolves. You're definitely going to need them. So keep that in mind. But then logistically as well, how do you convert this mass of words into an ebook? Unless you upgrade in the AI platform you're using, and they offer those types of things, and from my research, they're quite expensive. Unless you upgrade, and I don't advise you doing so without having done your homework like I did, you can't convert that mass of words in AI, in an AI writing program. You can't convert it into an ebook. So you're going to have to bring it over to something else or upgrade on the platform you're on. Scrivener, this is not a commercial for Scrivener, by the way. I'm just telling you it's what I use. You can use whatever you want. Scrivener has an ebook export function in their compile selection, which will convert it to a format that's friendly to Kindle Direct Publishing or Barnes and Noble online, wherever you want to promote your book on, it'll convert for you. But that's not the end of it. Before you publish a book, it may sound great to you, but you really want to have beta readers. You really want to have 3 to 5 people who are not your friends or family, who aren't going to tell you what you want to hear or promise you they'll read the book and then not ever get to it. For my novel, I hired 5 beta readers on Upwork, and I told them I would only pay them if they gave me proof that they read the entire book and honest feedback about what they read. And they were fantastic. I mean, I sent them a digital copy of the book. They made notes, like side notes and comments in different sections. I don't understand this. I got lost here, all that kind of stuff, which was super helpful because from the author's perspective, we know what we're trying to say. Our mind fills in the sentences and the paragraphs for us oftentimes, where a reader may not pick up on those things that our mind as writers intuitively know we're trying to say. So it's important to have beta readers, and you may have to hire them. You may want to have an editor. Even though your grammar and syntax may be good, it may not be great. You may not be conveying it in the most elegant, eloquent way. So you may consider having to hire an editor. 100%, most assuredly, you need a really good book cover. It's got to pop, it's got to sizzle, because if it looks cheap, people aren't going to buy your ebook. So keep that in mind as well. And then, how are you going to get your ebook discovered is another question. So again, we think, I'm going to just make these ebooks on AI, pump them into Amazon, I'm going to make tons of money. Did you know that 11,000 self-published books are self-published daily? 11,000. So do the math times 365 days in a year. That's a big number, whatever that number is. And I didn't calculate it out. I apologize for that, but you get the point. How are you going to make your book stand out against 10,999 competitive books every single day? Number one, you've got to go and do your research on your metadata. Make sure that you're listed in a category you can be competitive in. But you may have to hire a book promotion company if you're self-publishing to keep your name out there. Because if you don't, and you only publish 1 or a few books a year, you're not going to hit the algorithms necessary for your book even to be found. Even if they're searching the topic that you've written about, you may be so far down the search that the first 5 or 10 or 15 are the ones people are buying, and people never even see yours. So you've got to do things to, get into that algorithm and or promote your book. Because if you don't, you're going to get lost in a sea of content. So listen, I hope this was helpful. I wanted to spend some time and record this so you could see my face too, because writing is a passion of mine. I love it. I hate it. It's rewarding. It's punishing. It's all those things together. But it is such an experience when you finish a quality piece of work that you're proud of and you put it out to the world. Whether or not one person or a million people read it, having done it, you can say, I'm an author. You can show people your book. You can be proud of the fact that you put the time, effort, and energy to create something worthy of your own respect, right? So I hope you got something from this episode. This was really about the misinformation around AI and ebooks. If you like this episode, please like it and share it, especially if you know somebody who's been thinking about using AI to create ebooks or wants to become a writer and you think this would be helpful to them. By all means, please send it along. I hope you subscribe. I've got some episodes coming up that I think you'll find powerful. One is on how human trafficking victims are being used by South Asian gangs for cryptocurrency and investment schemes and bilking people literally, in one case that I read about, out of more than $1 million in one single month. It's shocking. It's shocking. And I'm going to go through that in my next episode. There's a bunch of other good episodes that are in the archive as well. And I'll continue to produce 1 to 2 to 3 per week. But I really wanted to do this one because if it helps an aspiring writer create better work, then I'm going to feel good. So thanks for listening. I hope you have an excellent day.